في الجو مش تصميم لكن بوستر بتاعه. لا لا يطلع. بس يصير فوق الغلاف الجوي كده. طايرين فوق لكن
Buenos dias. A wee bit of an apocalyptic start to the morning there. Just give us a second so I can get my... How are we all this morning? Right. Morning to you, Monsieur Ross. Have I got audio? Just somebody let me know, because I was in a wee bit here, like get my coffee out. Morning to you, Matty Ross. I hope you're well. Good morning to Sharpie. Good morning to John McFadden. Good morning to Beldam Lascar on the X chat. Arpignon, happy Friday. Trying to get, there's so many, there's a raft, a full house. A text from Virgin Media tell me they're going to cut mine off. Zambo, good morning to you. Madame Guy, so many names, so many faces, I can't get to them all. JCP, blissful good morning from a riverbank and a half-lit campfire in the Scottish borders. It sounds idyllic. It sounds wonderful. Morning, folks, this Friday. Get your dystopian groove on, Discontented Massive. Well, if it's going to be the end of the world, we might as well end it here, right? Where else would we want to end it? Good morning, Michael Fitzgerald. Chris Breaks, morning to you. It's good to be in nature with nothing else to do. I'm all for that. Dave Hedgehog. What can I say? Welcome one and all. New names, new faces, old acquaintances. You're all welcome here on What the X. I did kick off this morning's Friday Spectacular with the amazing work of Norrie Harmon. I think Miguel Sublime Norrie Harmon. Scotland's greatest artist. Scotland's greatest living artist. IMHO. The guy's a genius. Feck the evil empire. Couldn't agree more. So, but a great start. And the other, the second video that I had to play it because I've watched it a few times. I've kind of, I mean, I've watched Norrie's thing a bunch of times, but I've watched that clip of the. Just turn this down a wee bit. Of the missiles that the guys in the airplane in the cockpit filmed. I just thought it's obviously put a wee bit of the Hans Zimmer Dune music on it. But it's I just think it's such ominous but spectacular visual, that, you know, these missiles leaving they're in the atmosphere, I presume, you know what I mean, but it's following the sort of curvature of the Earth, and it's, you know, it's spectacular, it's the future, but it's the harbingers of death, you know. It's absolutely mental. It's mental times that we're living in. Crazy times. But it's that whole vibe, isn't it? That the pilots themselves, or whoever's in that cockpit, it's like out with the mobile phone. Like, check that. Check these missiles, like, flying out from the fucking Iranian airspace. And then they filmed it. And I don't know, I just think it's kind of spectacular footage, as kind of freaky as it is. Beldum says, what curvature is that? Isn't the world flat? Tell you what, maybe things would be I'm getting to the point where I don't even know what to believe anymore. Looks like something out of the Terminator movie. Aye, totally. Morning to you, Skilly G. Morning to you. We are watching the next testament of the Bible being written in real time. We're definitely watching something anyway. Look at that, it's 10:15 already. We've eaten up 15 wonderful minutes. It is a beautiful morning this morning. It's a beautiful day. So we might as well give thanks for the life that we have and try to embrace it, right? That's my wholesome message to the people. I noticed JCP is in the chat, or he was watching from his campfire. Need to make a point to go down to the Land Art Festival. Enjoyed that clip more than Oppenheimer. Well, we've got quite a bit to get through this morning. I think we have, at least. I don't know how bogged down we can get with the hyperlocal. It's trying to juxtapose the impending apocalypse of geopolitical craziness with hyperlocal parochialness. I think that's kind of like, that's the remit for What the X, I think. So we will take a delve into the activities of Edinburgh City Council. It would be rude not to, right? Under the circumstances. Actually, someone sent me I am a candidate in this by-election, which is Ward 9, which is Craig Locker, Fountain Bridge, like Slateford, bit of Saughton. So if you know anybody, or perhaps you yourself reside, is it possible? Then you don't put an X in the box, you put a 1. Because it's this weird thing when you list your candidates in order of preference. Morning, my favourite Friday morning support group. Edinburgh City Council versus Mossad, who wins? The way they behave, you'd think that Mossad are in charge of the council. Maybe they are. What's his name? Is it David Miller? Wrote a piece yesterday, or published a piece yesterday, about the Zionist links to Scotland. It's well worth a read. It's an excellent piece. Is it David Miller? You'd have got my vote if I still lived across there. I appreciate that, Madame Guy. This groove in the background, this mix is by the legend Max Maxer. Bike lanes vaporised. Could we have things vaporised in order of preference? I'm with you on that one, Rajwan. I'd like to see the bike lanes vaporised. Right. Okay. Darren says Summer Peter Swizz. Darren McGarvey wrote a great article, published a great article yesterday about Peter Crichton, who sadly passed away. He was the drugs campaigner guy, and Darren kind of identified the perils of becoming a kind of poster boy for drug use, and also the kind of parasitic, or not so much the sort of predatory nature of the. Of those who are, it's an industry, isn't it? Like Jim Slavin, it's like the poverty industry, it's all this stuff, and it's kind of, you can become a kind of a useful tool for other people's agendas, and then when they kind of find yourself getting led down a road or not taking the right advice, it's well worth reading Dan's article. Smoking is shagging. What's this? Morning, Bob. Morning to you, Heidi Edelweiss. Alright, yeah, that was this. This is this Liam guy. J.K. Rowling, I can't be bothered with J.K. Rowling. Like, I know that Brian Ferguson article on the apocalypse impacting festival revenue, says Belderless Park. Good old Brian. Brian's still got me blocked, which I do actually. I mean, as much as I find Brian to be a tedious lovey. Katrina Grant says, I knew Peter, a lovely man. My pal helped him in the van with the women. It was terrible what happened to him. It seems so. It seems so. I mean, anybody who has dealt with somebody or people that are involved in heavy drug use, you share an experience, definitely. If you had a loved one or a partner or a friend or anybody who's for those of us who have actually experienced the absolute extremities of somebody completely and utterly wedded to the horrors of that lifestyle, it's a terrible thing. Our country is just an abject failure when it comes to dealing with this issue, and it's only going to get worse as inequality and the terrors of our neoliberal hell become worse as we plough all our money into warfare. The J.K. Rowling thing. What was it? It was Kevin McKenna. Before I went to sleep, Kevin McKenna said, J.K. Rowling. This is certifiable nonsense, right? I like Kevin. I think he's an okay guy. Well, I mean, but I don't understand. Kevin doesn't seem to have managed to say anything about the genocide. Why? Is there some reason why it's important? You're incapable of mentioning the greatest crime in our lives. What is it with our journalists? Neil Mackay, McKenna? Nah, we didn't talk about that. We focus on the absolute minutiae. J.K. Rowling is Britain's wisest and most important public figure. she upholds the truth when so many others cower from it. This is certifiable nonsense. J.K. Rowling, there's a big question mark over, you know, the way that she operates online. She'll find some like account with like 100 followers, some like Raj account, and just totally like go Raj it about mad stuff, you know. I find her boring, I have to be honest. I find her boring. I mean, I know a lot of people are massively, they see her as some kind of warrior for women's rights. I think that she's got valid points on these matters. I don't agree with a lot of the ID poll kind of obsession with madness to go along with the whole sort of trans women or women stuff and all this kind of stuff. I can't deal with all it. It's all madness. I just think there's much more important things in the world to be concentrating on. But anyway, that's just my opinion, eh? What do you think? What do all you people think? Chris Breaks says she's an epic cant, a bully and a plum. It's certainly a view that's shared by a lot of people, so. But I didn't really want to I don't want to turn this morning into a pro-JK, anti-JK, JK Rowling-a-thon. Dave Hedgehog says Peter was a true pioneer. He will be remembered as having been ahead of his time. I would advise you, in fact, I'll find Loki's article and Darren's article and put it in. If you've not read it, it's worth reading. I don't know whether or not that's exactly... oh, did this come across as she slagged off the National? Maybe I kind of agree with her with slagging off the National. I can't be bothered with the National either. See, the problem I've got is that the trans people didn't like me because they think that I'm a transphobe, which I didn't think I am, but then everyone's a transphobe, right? And then the other people didn't like me because I'm not enough of a transphobe. Hey, you can't fucking win, huh? But that's where we're at. I'm going to take a very brief break. I'll be back momentarily.
What the fuck, Miller? Anyway. Hello everybody, I'm Neil Hardy, and I play Carson in the new upcoming film Powder that's being made in West Lothian with GTF Films. I'm also a founding member of GTF Films. I'm also a producer on the film, and we're doing a fundraiser at Room at the Top in Bathgate on the 21st this Saturday. So if you want to be in it, come along, be in it.
This is how I look. Mind you, this is a Google Earth car. Are they gonna find this on the internet?
Yes.
It's because Zionism is a racist movement. It's the same as the Nazism. Nazism was not a threat against the Jews themselves or the Jews only. Nazism was a threat to the whole world, the humanity. It was a bad event in the history of man. This event is repeated. That's why Zionism is not a threat to the Arabs only. It's a threat to the Jews themselves. Zionism is dangerous to Judaism itself. It's a racist movement. It seeks what differentiates the peoples of the world. While we are in a time where we seek what unites the peoples of the world, not what separates them, what makes a certain people superior to other people. So Zionism is a racist movement.
Ces impérialistes n'ont qu'un seul cliché en tête. L'Afrique est l'empire des esclaves. C'est comme ça qu'ils voient l'Afrique. Pour eux, les Africains les appartiennent. Nos terres les appartiennent. Nos sous-sols les appartiennent. Ils n'ont jamais pu changer de logiciel jusqu'à aujourd'hui. C'est déplorable. Mais comment procèdent-ils? C'est malheureusement depuis donc ces années 60 où ces simulacres d'indépendance ont été donnés à l'Afrique. Ils n'ont juste fait que placer des valets locaux à la tête, selon eux, de leur sous-préfecture pour pouvoir continuer à les alimenter. Ces valets locaux que nous allons qualifier aujourd'hui d'esclaves de salon n'ont d'autre repère que de chercher à vivre comme le maître.
Weaken the wicked, I'm whipping the wicked, I'm sipping the wine.
Aye, alright, I see that my my volume wasn't there. Right, so I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to we're going to have a look at the council. Are you all excited? Are you as excited as I am? So this was yesterday's meeting with the council about the report into Cammy Day, and I just thought it was quite interesting. It's about 5 or 6 minutes, the bit that I've picked out. But I just thought it'd be quite interesting to kind of look at. I've not watched this whole bit, so let's go and have a wee look at what happened yesterday in the city chambers. There's Ross, right? So that's Ross Mackenzie, right? Ross Mackenzie likes to say that he's an independent, but he's not really. He is an independent, right? Because he became an independent, but he got voted in on the Labour Party ticket. And I always have an issue with these sort of people that kind of present themselves as independents once they kind of like bolt once they're elected, you know. Because let's see if you could get elected as an independent, just as an independent councillor, without the banner, the Labour Party banner, right? But anyway, this was some of the stuff that went on yesterday. So it's kind of like there's knives out in the council at the minute over the whole Cammy Day situation. So let's have a wee look at what's been said.
I'd really like to talk about the Labour response to the report, specifically the response of Councillor Jenkinson, who posted on Facebook the day the report was published, "Independent investigation confirms political hatchet job," right? So written in the style of a tabloid headline. Political hatchet job confirmed. Is that, did he read the same report that the rest of us read? Councillor Jenkinson is the Labour Group Whip. Now maybe you don't all know that, I know it very well, obviously. Group Whips are referred to in the report in the context of where people might wish to report inappropriate councillor behaviour. So if somebody wants to go to the Labour Group Whip now to report that they've been sexually harassed by a Labour councillor, how can they have any faith, how can they have any hope that their complaint will be taken seriously and not just dismissed as being part of a political hatchet job? And how, you know, I was really struggling to see how Councillor Jenkinson could read that report and read the series of sexual harassment allegations that we've seen in the press, and the range of sources that they've come from. You know, from Ukrainian refugees, from a former council employee, from a Labour member, and read the pattern and come to the conclusion that this can be dismissed as a political hatchet job or some kind of conspiracy. Does Councillor Jenkinson think that the allegation that Councillor Day groomed a care-experienced 15-year-old boy and invited him into his home with sexual intent was part of this conspiracy, that he was in cahoots with the SNP? Because, you know, it doesn't look terribly good for the SNP, some of the information that's come out around that.
So basically, the Labour group want Cammy Day to come back, right? But Cammy Day is culpable of all of this behaviour. What do you think? Like, this was the council leader. Should they be allowed back into the council, or should they be told to get GTF?
It doesn't make sense, and it's illogical. And the only logical explanation I can find for Councillor Jenkinson's response is that this is an old boys' club mentality.
An old boys' club mentality.
Stand up for his pal. And I think I would urge Councillor Jenkinson to read the report again, thinking about his role as whip, and then consider his position as Labour Group Whip. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Mackenzie.
Councillor Ficenda.
Thank you, Lord Provost, and I want to thank Mr Dunion for this report and for the respect that he showed when listening to my answers to difficult questions. Now, I'm going to be quite upset when I speak today, as you can probably hear from my voice, because I nearly didn't come to Council today, and I couldn't attend in person the last meeting. And right now, I feel very uncomfortable speaking because the normalisation of certain behaviours, the gaslighting and the exclusion, has had a really serious impact on both my physical and my mental health. And these recent weeks have impacted me being able to carry out my duties as a ward councillor. Since I was elected in 2022, I have to say that I've had quite a few sleepless nights over matters associated with the council. The fact that public interest has not been central when deciding who should be taking responsibilities in senior positions in the councils, and the allocation of extra money in areas where least needed has given me a lot of sleepless nights, especially given the multiple crises that our city is facing. And to be perfectly honest, it's broken my heart to see how poorly my party has been represented in this chamber. And I'm going to put it on record that, unlike the council leader, I do not welcome Councillor Day back into the Labour group. And I have informed the group leader and the whip that I will be unable to attend meetings, Labour group meetings, in person due to my own concerns for my well-being and my safety. Councillor Day had a seat reserved here in the chamber today. And had he been here, I would have been unable to attend in person. I've heard from some of the best councillors in this chamber that they will not stand again in elections. Some of them are first-term councillors. I am going to say that I think, as a council, we are truly in a position of crisis. And that ethical crisis we find ourselves in, and unfortunately, I have to say I strongly disagree with the Liberal Democrats who are trying to justify their strong support for Councillor Day and his administration as centring the Dunion report on a bureaucratic process and the leak. Because when arrangements are made that are not linked to putting the best people in senior positions, but yet you take the people of Edinburgh for granted and pretend that you are, you really have created that crisis. We need to win back the respect of the people of Edinburgh. And we have to fight back against the constant accusations that we're not here to represent people, and even accusations of corruption. I am glad to see the points made about on-site drinking, because since my election I've been really uncomfortable with the drinking culture in the city chambers, and especially within the Labour group. And having been subject to a drunken tirade from Councillor Day that actually forced me to leave a Christmas party in tears, I wouldn't be unhappy to not see these kind of parties happen again. And we have to remember that the person who is centred on this report was the leader of the council of the capital city of Scotland. And we're talking about behaviour of someone who's our senior elected representative, for all of us. And when that person is widely reported to have abused power and behaved inappropriately in their role as that senior elected member of this council, the impact is enormous on all of us. And we have to get together, we have to work together to change that perception. And I'm disappointed to see there's no agreement on the amendments to the report. And I would really hope that before we get to a vote, some kind of agreement is found. And actually, in my opinion, there should be no whipping or political stances on this. This is ethics, this is morals, this is standards. I was going to address as I've described
I'm afraid you're a minute over already.
Right, can I just say one last thing?
Sum up, yeah.
Lord Provost, please. Okay, I just think it's important that we don't put the onus on those who disclose to give up their privacy and possibly re-traumatise themselves in investigative processes. And the last thing I want to say, I know a lot of people probably question why I'm still in the Labour Party, but what I'm going to say, and I'm especially going to say this to Councillor Day, who I think has gone offline as well, is that I am not going to walk away from the Labour Party, and I'm certainly not going to give up my seat to someone who is not fit for public office. And I look forward to hearing from your lawyers.
None of you are fit for public office. None of you are fit for public office, in my opinion. It's a farce. None of you all should be representing this city. What do we elect these councillors to do? Beldam Lascar says, weld. It's not just Cammy Day that should resign, others should. The report was damning. Yeah, the report was damning. What is it that I'm being told here? Someone posted it. Hannah Rogers warned me of mentioning it. Can we elaborate? Can we get a bit more information on what's being said there, Arpignon? What are you saying? That the journalist said that you shouldn't post something? Sorry, I'm a bit confused. I've got quite a lot of information in front of me. So what, members of the public are now being warned about how they should discuss this publicly? Is that what we're now being told? There's a cover up here. There's vested interests, and I'll tell you why. Because a lot of these people have got dirt on each other. I mean, that's how politics works. That's how politics works at every level. But the council are not fit for purpose. The state of this city, what's been done to this city. The inability for anybody... See, this is the problem, like... Ross McKenzie... Aye, so shady, exactly. Ross McKenzie, right, wants to make out like he's an independent councillor, right? But he's not a radical. He's not a radical voice. Ross McKenzie, after all these... a whole bunch of purpose-built student accommodation just got another big thumbs up. And then after it got the thumbs up, Ross McKenzie was like, oh, this is bad and that. It's like, Ross McKenzie never done anything beforehand, never made a song and dance about it beforehand. It's just another nodding dog. And that's the problem. Katrina Facienda there says she's been elected since 2022, just a Labour group member. See, all these people are just part of a block vote. They can't do anything. And it's unelected officials that are making the decisions in the council. So you've got to ask yourselves, what's going on? See, we as citizens, we as locals, we can see what's happening to the city. We can see decisions that are being made that are having a massive impact on how the town's being run and how the town's being experienced. You've got to remember as well, a lot of this is to do with the basically they've given the council running over to CGI Group. They basically sold the city for like 100 million quid a few years ago to get some money in the coffers. And because we've not got any effective investigative journalism in this city, in this country, we don't really know the depths of what that sale involved. But we can certainly see the impacts of it. We can certainly see what's going on in terms of how infrastructure is being dealt with, in terms of traffic management, all these type of things. What's Arpignon saying here? He says, I saw a tweet from someone who said they had been groomed by Day when he was a teen. Posted a link to a blog post they made about it, but hadn't named Day in the article. The blog post was old. The guy was saying he had made complaints, but nothing was done. I think I saw this. I thought this is off to jump in the river. See you all in the future. Cheers, JCP. Then when I went back to check the next day, it was gone. Hannah Rogers wasn't being threatening, just saying I could get into legal trouble for talking about it. All right, okay. It's all a bit mental, you know what I mean? But the main thing is, why are they all getting pissed up and having a fucking party in the council? Anyway, the city's on its knees. I think that we need a clear out, you know, but what people need to stop doing, they need to stop voting for political parties. You need to start voting for independents and people that have got the interests of this town, you know what I mean, that are going to say no. It just seems that unelected officials seem to be doing all the decision making in this city. We saw that even with when Jim Slavin was doing the stuff with the People's Story. We could see how the officials operate. So what's going on with that? I want to know what's going on with that. Lazenby Industries. The institutional merry-go-round means no one in politics or media will call out the bullshit unless it furthers their career. There's a lot of truth in that. Right. J.K. Rowling is Britain's wisest and most witty. He must have been on this sauce last night, eh? The Kenna after fucking 4 Lafroigs. No bother, mate. So what's the story? Do you think that we're going to? Do you think the Yanks are going to bomb Iran? You know, every you read one thing, somebody says, yeah, they're definitely going to bomb them. You read something else, you're like, nah, they're not going to bomb them. It's like, what do we know? It's just a death fest, isn't it? It's become surreal. It's become surreal, you know. Every day is just a tapestry of murder. It's very, very unsettling. And you know, why do we not have you noticed that there's absolutely no desire anywhere throughout the mainstream to provoke discussions on consciousness? It's almost like any discourse on consciousness is kind of segregated to some peculiar area of culture. And we're encouraged increasingly just to subscribe to the most narrow perspective on existence. And then we're supposed to take instruction from salaried opinionators who are completely and utterly compromised in what they can and cannot do. And there's this kind of deification of the dollar, you know, of wealth. So you get people, I mean, it's impossible. No, it's true, isn't it? It's like once you see something, it's hard to remove it from your scorn, you know. But it's like when you see somebody like McKenna, right? Kevin McKenna, right? Kevin McKenna, Ouija, Celtic fan, salaried opinionator, you know, talks a game about politics and all the rest of it. But really, at the end of the day, what is Kevin offering us? What is Kevin offering us? He comes out with some sycophantic slavers about a kind of rather boring woman who spends pretty much all of her time obsessing about what is essentially fundamentally an online pathology. The whole trans thing, the whole gender war thing, it really mainly exists online. And even when it subsides, those that are so oppositional to it, they actually go away and they have to manufacture reactionary content about this stuff. It's very, very similar to the right wing, to like Tommy Robinson and the immigrants stuff, you know? It's like the rationale isn't even up for discussion. It's like there's no interest in rationale. It's like there's a very, very fixed perspective. Now, most trad feminists in that probably agree. I would probably agree with the fundamental basis of J.K. Rowling's perspective on gender and sex and all that sort of stuff. But after a while, it's like, this is pretty boring, like, you know? What have we got here? Send the council to Iran. They'll be so ineffectual. They'll have the whole region incapacitated for decades with trams and cycle lanes. You're not joking. I mean, but even when we talk about the idiocy of it all, you know, We have some terrible issues with homelessness in Edinburgh. We've got horrific social housing situation. There's no social housing. There's a ridiculous waiting list for people trying to get socially housed. A lot of the housing that's there is completely inadequate. Look at this, for example, right? Look at this guy here. But yeah, this question that I wanted to mention there about consciousness. We're very much just like a dual culture thing going on at the minute. We have our mainstream culture. We have our very narrow perspectives on whether that's politics, society, social issues. It just feels very restricted. Then you go into, YouTube or, but even Instagram of late. This is the thing about social media. It's this strange paradox. There is for every kind of reductive, trite, superficial, vulgar expression of the human condition, there's a bunch of other stuff that's incredibly informative, that's philosophically provocative. We're caught in this strange timeline where we're facing, our complete descent into narcissistic oblivion, simultaneously being presented with all the fruits of human knowledge at the same time. It's very bizarre. But increasingly, there are movements that are attempting to stimulate discussion on questions of consciousness, and this is the fundamental discussion for the times that we're living in, because we are, as McKenna said and many others, we are led by the least amongst us, and somehow there's a dissonance between how those individuals assume positions of power and how we defer to them. I think deference is a very fundamental factor, especially in British culture and UK culture. We have a very deferential culture, and I think that's conditioned. I think that's part of our conditioning. I think from our schooling, The system that educates us is also the system that exploits us. This is a historical system that's been designed to produce a certain type of individual. And as capital has taken over, has subsumed religion and all these type of things, the moral bankruptcy that exists at the core of that has led to the complete disintegration and fragmentation of our normal cultural boundaries. So it's down to us to start to go, well, we're living in this hyper-reality now. We're living in this hyper-dimensional space. So perhaps some of that responsibility from one McKenna to another, yeah. I know which one I would rather listen to. No disrespect, Kev, I'm sure your knowledge of Jinky Johnson and whatnot is fabulous, but your opinions on people like J.K. Rowling and that, what are you talking about, pal? And why can you say nothing about the genocide? If you're such a humanitarian, you're a good Catholic and all the rest of it, it's like, what's going on with this? Why is the horror of our times? Why is this disgusting affront to our human existence, this endless, tapestry of death? Why has this not to be discussed? I keep making the point about the neoliberal culture merchants, those artists and authors who for years were online slavering, telling us everything. They've got the opinions about this, that, and we must listen to their opinion. They're the esteemed heads of the day in whatever field. And we had the endless inculcated idea of first they came for, and we were brought up on this. We were schooled in this, right? We must stand up and speak up when the terrors come, and all of a sudden, pretty much tumbleweed. I take care what people are saying in the chat, but I'm sure it's interesting. Anyway, we mustn't be afraid to enter into discussion about the nature of consciousness, about what consciousness is, about what our right to consciousness is. I say consciousness is a human right because our consciousness is hijacked by capital and other forces, and we're conditioned and subjugated into thinking and behaving in a particular way, and only we can liberate ourselves from that. That's why I advocate the use of psychedelics, of psilocybin, of dimethyltryptamine, of these type of things, because these things are going to dissolve the normal boundaries that you've been presented with. And you're going to find yourself in a position where you're able to perceive things in a different way, and that may affect you for the rest of your life. Some of you might end up in the Andrew Duncan right enough, but that's like, you know, where's my disclaimer? Nothing to do with me. Swaggy taggy, crazy how much can be lost in a generation. I think apathy for our fellow humans is at an all-time... Is that empathy you perhaps mean? Because it seems like apathy is at an all-time high. I was going to look at the dummy dykes. There was an issue with the dummy dykes where... Another situation with the council where there was a whole bunch of people. Let me see if I can find the video for it, and I'll play it. Perhaps I'm just up. There's no need to. Don't worry. I know what you meant. This is Israel have stopped their own people leaving the country by air. Can I suggest they walk to Egypt and take a bit for you? It's very strange what's going on in Israel. Actually, no, I'll do. Hold on a wee second. Nothing a big glass of orange juice wouldn't fix that, apparently. Eh? They also say you should chew pepper, right? If you're off your nut. I don't know. I've never been off my nut and needed to chew pepper. But apparently that's another one that'll, if you crunch on some peppercorns, that'll sort you right out. Apparently. Let me bring back my. Let me have a look here. I don't know why this Wings guy's always getting suggested. I didn't follow him, but he's always getting suggested. It's probably because I've tussled with him so much. But I'm looking for my bookmarks. Here we go. Yeah, this was interesting. This is the Homeless Project Scotland. Glasgow City Council refused planning permission for a Homeless Project Scotland project night shelter and support hub, citing concerns over people queuing outside our building on Glassford Street. Yet, as these images clearly show, other businesses in the very same area routinely have long queues outside with no action or objection from the council. From pubs and clubs, music event places and food outlets, queues are a common part of city life, especially in the heart of Glasgow. So why are we, a life-saving volunteer-run charity, helping the most vulnerable being treated differently? Is it because our queue is made up of homeless people instead of shoppers? Is it because we serve food and dignity rather than profit? We urge Glasgow City Council to end this discriminatory treatment and recognise that people queuing for warmth. Thank you very much for the donation. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think super chat donations are cool. If you can donate via the Discontent Coffee page, that's cooler though, because Google are mofos when it comes to taking dollar off you. This is not just about a queue, this is about whether we as a city stand up for the people who need us most. this is interesting because I was through at the Jordan McCann show last Saturday at Slay, which was a great show. Jordan McCann is a very interesting character, and he was very talented. A great show he put on. It was packed. There was a whole bunch of other Scottish artists there: Melrose, McCroy, Podgy, KD, a bunch of cats, and it was a really good show, and it was packed as well. But it was interesting because there was this place, the House of Gods, which seemed to be like this fancy kind of club place. And there was this interesting juxtaposition because when we arrived, there was like queues and queues of homeless people, and for the homeless project, and then all these well-to-do people going out to the House of Gods in their best clobber. It reminded me of San Francisco. I remember being in San Francisco in Valencia. That's like the main thoroughfare, and there were like tech bros with like silver service, kind of like al fresco, with like iPads, mobile phones minted, and crackheads lying on the ground around them while they were being fed fancy food outside. It was fucking mental. You want to see crazy breakdown of society and mad homelessness? Go to San Francisco. It's fucking mental. Right, where was this thing that I was looking at? This was interesting. Mary McCallan is the new housing minister. She didn't know. She was unable to tell us the number of houses.
This have a dashboard that demonstrates.
Do you know how many people are waiting for a social home currently?
I don't have that figure.
You don't know how many people are waiting for a social home in Scotland?
I don't have that figure on me.
You're
today,
the new
no.
cabinet secretary for this housing brief, and you can't tell me how many thousands of people are waiting for a social home.
So in my office in Parliament, I have a dashboard that demonstrates to me the number of people who are waiting, who are in temporary accommodation.
You don't know the figure.
Unsuitable. Well, no, I'm out.
I've got it's written down. It's in my notebook. It's in my drawer. In my desk at home, I've got a drawer. I've got a pencil case, and in that pencil case is a bit of paper, and that tells me there. So I've definitely got it somewhere.
On site with you today, and I'm not going to.
But you are the cabinet secretary. You've been in the job for a week now, and you don't know the number of people waiting for a social home in the country.
It's not that I don't know it. I don't have the figure with me today.
Well, it's 250,000. More than 250,000 Scots are waiting for a social home. What are you going to say to them? They'll be quite shocked to hear you didn't know how many of them are waiting for a home.
I think what they'll be more interested in is that I am now taking this brief into cabinet with a direct line to the First Minister.
I don't think they'll be interested in that at all.
That we're investing more than ever
thinking,
in the
we've
delivery
not got
of
a fucking house and you've not got a fucking clue. That's what I think they'll be thinking, quite frankly. True. Max on the mix this morning. Now there was another thing. This was what's her name? Glasgow Pam, the disabled councillor, which is an MSP. To go from being a wee working class woman in a wheelchair as an MSP, I'm now a wee working class woman in a wheelchair with an MBE. Well, nobody says you can't be in a wheelchair and be a bootlicker, so I imagine that's what Belder Muscar was making the point about. A wee pat on the head while representing the party ruthlessly. I ken the music's loud, I just thought I'd turn it up. Right then. Okay. I want to check. Is John White? I noticed John White put a link to it. I thought this was interesting. Where is it? It's this one here, right? So I thought this is quite interesting. You've got like
by the flame. Oh, now, and now that Tehran sent a message back. They're screaming for help like a child who lit the fire and got burned by the flame. Oh, now it's a tragedy. Now you remember what a hospital is. You bombed over 200 hospitals in Gaza. You hit a children's hospital in Iran. You blew up ambulances, dialysis centers, maternity wards. And now you want sympathy? Let me say this loud so the world hears. You didn't just bomb buildings. You didn't just kill civilians. You targeted the ones who were trying to save them. You murdered medics, unarmed, veiled, rushing to save a life. And you killed them in cold blood. Then you buried them in their vehicles, like criminals hiding a murder weapon.
So I think what's quite interesting about this is, right, it's like it's not that the sentiment isn't right, it's not that what's been said isn't true, it's that it's been spoken to by an AI sort of Denzel Washington, Louis Farrakhan, Malcolm X, and I think that's quite intriguing to think about, right? And now everybody's obviously sharing this. It's got 15,000 retweets so far, and I'm not saying that that's top trip tips this morning. I'm not saying that that's. I just think it's weird, right? It's just kind of weird that we've got. This is where we're at now, you know, that we need the horrors of genocide to be packaged for us with some jaunty theme tune. Hold on, my white noise is going to start pummeling through myself. Jaunty theme tune with an AI Malcolm X kind of Denzel Washington voice. I just think it's quite bizarre that this is where we're at. I mean, my old man was sending me stuff the other day there, and I was wanting to send him back. I was like, Dad, that's no David Attenborough. I was like, it's no David Attenborough. Heidi Edelweiss says, I think it's really important to stay focused on material matters and not get lost in mysticism. Okay, and I think that's true. I think there is truth in that. I think there's a need to balance. There's a need to balance where we allow ourselves to become, you know, invested in the spiritual or in the mystical. But I think there's also a need to recognise that there must be a place for that. There must be a place for those of us who have explored psychedelic consciousness, and there must be a right to explore psychedelic consciousness. I genuinely believe, as many people do, that psychedelics are a useful tool in altering our cultural perspectives. And I always go on about culture is not your friend. You know, McKenna was the person that obviously pioneered this statement, and what he meant primarily was that, you know, prescription culture or capitalist culture that was repackaged and sold back to us, or culture that's in the interest of capital is of no interest to us as the individual or even as the community. McKenna's belief was that the way to counteract this, to challenge this, was to create art. And I think that the real issue is, where are the people saying this publicly? Great speech, but who said it? Well, this is it. I mean, it's the person that said it probably typed it into an AI voice generator on 11 Labs or something, you know? And so we don't know. We don't know its origins, really. unless somebody did say it, and I'm just wrong about this as well. Because we're now at a point where it's difficult to tell, isn't it? It's difficult to know. But, you know, this idea, what was it that Heidi Edelweiss said? I think it's really important to stay focused on material matters and not get lost in mysticism. What is a material situation? What is a material matter? We're living in a society that is exponentially unequal. People are having to work longer for less. One wage doesn't look after a home. Two wages barely looks after a home. And we have an inept and incompetent political class by design. So long as you're voting in neoliberals, there's nothing radical happening to your society and culture. And all of these individuals are always going to be lockstep with capital and corporate interest, which is anti-human. It was Malcolm X, clearly. Ask Bob's dad, yeah, exactly. Have you seen what Malcolm X has said about Palestine? But then there's something in that as well, you know, like where are we at where we need the spectral voice of Malcolm X to provide us with instruction? But maybe that's a good thing. Let's face it, everything that was being said wasn't untrue. So, the weekend approaches. I know of I wonder, I was like, shall I look at that? Nah, I'm gonna leave it today. This is the key factor. Psychological warfare. How do you resist? How do you resist psychological warfare? Let's take the genocide, for example. Is the BBC complicit in the genocide? Is the British Broadcasting Corporation complicit in the murder, the extermination of a people? Has the British Broadcasting Corporation, by means of its news and current affairs programmes, sculpted a narrative that has given political and diplomatic cover to the Israeli murder machine? Is that the case? Is the BBC, as is the British government, complicit with the Palestinian genocide? Is that the case? The BBC clearly complicit. Yes, big report dropped about it this week. Then why the fuck are people going on the BBC? Why are people going on the BBC and engaging with the BBC if the BBC are complicit in genocide? Why are the comedians and the neoliberal culture merchants and the artists, why are you fraternising? We have media, we have independent media, we have the means to produce. I'm broadcasting right now. This is what I'm doing right now is inconceivable even maybe 10 years ago or so. It's not, you know, just maybe. Why are you going on the BBC to enter into a controlled discussion with those who are complicit? I saw this. Peter Oborne confronted BBC Director of News Content Richard Burgess following a news report confirming long-standing concerns. The BBC is guilty of severe media bias and silencing of Palestinian voices. Yes, it is. But I put it to you that even Peter Oborne's exchange is just part of a bourgeois pantomime. That itself, these type of inquiries, are themselves just part of the performance. We never hear the end of people talking about, like, I've been cancelled, I've been no platformed. Funny, you know, and then you get the people on the left going, oh, you're cancelled, but you've got a newspaper, you're getting talked about in mainstream media and all the rest of it. They've got a point. They've got a point. How cancelled are you? What does it mean to be cancelled? I wonder if anybody actually knows what it actually means to have a strong, prominent voice, to have a strong position on politics and culture, to be a talented artist, and to find yourself completely and utterly silenced by the bourgeois establishment. Some of us do actually know what that's like. So why are you going on the BBC? Let me tell you, one child's death is too many. Tens of thousands. Tens of thousands. But I'm glad you've got a clear conscience when you get to go and do your wee bit. Your wee dib dib dib. And get your wee soundbite clipped out. And feel that you've contributed in some way or other. Or that you've got your few quid to make your anodyne comedy broadcast that doesn't challenge or provoke anything. We have to reject all performative political parties, news media, social platforms in favour of independent movements and start listening and connecting to the truth and people with real-world experience. Indeed. Right, I've enjoyed this morning's What the X. I hope you've enjoyed it too. We'll return again soon. Now remember, this next Thursday, the 26th, will be interesting to know if BBC will show Kneecap at Glastonbury. Yeah, indeed. Please support this content if you can. We're trying to raise money. We're trying to raise money to stay on air and to expand. So if you've got a few quid, or you know anybody that does, or you want to help out, please do. If you want to get in touch about something in particular or a story that you've got, then DM me or contact me via my socials on Instagram. Where's my stuff? Where's my washboard? Name a cappella this morning. This one here. There you go. You can get me on these links below. Yeah, so if you can where's this here? If you know anybody that can vote, I may be doing some active campaigning over the weekend. Wars are a result of lies peddled by complicit media. It's not just leaders, it's not just soldiers. Journalists are war criminals too. Julian Assange, 100%. Brilliant, Jimmy. I've got a big issue with those who populate the salaried opinionators. I also really don't understand why some of these people seem to think that they're so interesting. But that's another matter altogether. Thank you very much, John Muir. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Thanks to everyone who tunes in and supports. We're basically on. We're like 10 months. It's like 10 months of What the X. So we're coming up for a year of What the X. And it's been fun. I think we've done a lot. And it's nice to see so many of you continuing to turn up, and so many new people turn up as well and keep the vibe going. So thanks again. I'm going to depart. I'm going to leave us on a hold on while I quit this. I'm going to leave us with an artist. He's somewhat of a local artist to a certain extent. He's definitely part of the hip hop furniture for a long time. He's an incredibly accomplished MC and rapper, and he put out a track yesterday that I saw. I thought was fantastic. So I'm going to leave us on that, and I'll catch up with you soon. So this is Prophecy and Rainstorm. Have a great weekend. I'll catch up with you soon. Ciao.
There is something to be learned from a rainstorm. When meeting with a sudden shower, you try not to get wet and run quickly along the road. By doing such things as passing under the eaves of houses, you still get wet. When you're resolved from the beginning, you will not be perplexed, that you will still get the same soaking. This understanding extends to all things.
Resume, you will see I go back. I've done it on tape, man, I've done it on wax. Since digging in crates and dubbing on that. Chill, rude boy, what you know about that? Been in the streets, I ain't tryna stay trapped. Can't knock the hustle, everybody needs cash. But it's not all gravy, there be bangers and mash. Form is temporary, I'm a different class. Minute in a long chat, let's see how long you last. You be gone quick, fast. Impose my will, I believe you will tap. I got lyrics on tap. This is experience based upon fact. Everybody who raps ain't on it like that. Fall back. If you ain't on it like that, no dough. The only way you stay strapped. Only when it rains do you pull out your Mac. Full of problemo. Pride before the fall, seen what happened to Othello. I stay calm and mellow. Angel on the right, on the left is the devil. But that's no problemo. Ripple of change that starts with a pebble. Pebble, 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 pebble.